Okay, here we go with the breakdown of the Sergio Perez audio at Abu Dhabi 2021. So it's after Nicholas Latifi crashed, up until the point where Red Bull mysteriously retire Perez. So, context. Going into Abu Dhabi 2021, Perez is fourth in the Drivers' Championship. He's on 190 points. Bottas ahead of him is 28 points ahead of him. So he's not going to catch Bottas, even if Perez won with the fastest lap and Bottas didn't finish. Okay, Perez is not going to get third in the championship. Likewise, Charles Leclerc is 32 points behind Perez. So Charles Leclerc is not going to overtake Perez. Perez is cemented as fourth position in the Drivers' Championship. Constructors' Championship. Again, going into Abu Dhabi 2021, Mercedes were on 587.5, Red Bull were on 559.5. Now, just for simplification, just to make you easily see this, add 0.5 to each of them scores. It puts Mercedes onto 588. It puts Red Bull onto 560. That's a difference of 28 points. One car on its own can only score a maximum of 26, which is 25 for the win and 1 for the fastest lap. So in order to surpass a 28-point deficit, Red Bull have to have 2 cars finishing, and they have to score more than 28 points more than Mercedes. When in fact, actually, they could probably get away with 28 points more than Mercedes, because that would, if it was just 28 points, that would tie them on points, but Red Bull may have had more victories. Maybe that gift of a victory at the Belgian parade may have been sufficient. Okay, but you definitely need more than one car finishing to win the Constructors' Championship, where all the prize money is linked to. Mercedes reportedly won $177 million for winning the Constructors' title in 2021. So, at the point in time where Red Bull retired Perez, and I'm going to play this through, and you're going to hear the audio of what Brundle and Crofty are saying at this moment in time. This was the state of the race. Hamilton was leading, Verstappen second, Perez third. It was a safety car situation, so they were lapping at a much reduced speed, not stressing the engine. When you are lapping behind the safety car for a Formula One car, relatively speaking, you're not really travelling that fast relative to what you can go. Therefore, you're not putting the stress and the load through the engine in the same way. Can you sustain that? Should you think that you are putting stress and strain on the engine that's going to make it give out? I would say no. I would say that you are treating that engine rather kindly behind a safety car, and therefore the chance of it giving out on you is vastly reduced. It looked on course for a safety car finish. Had the rules and regulations been applied correctly, it would have been a safety car finish. At this point in time, whilst Red Bull were on course for second and third, second nets you 18 points, third nets you 15 points. That's 33 in total. They might have got the fastest lap. I think Verstappen set the fastest lap earlier in the race, perhaps, unless that final lap on the soft tyres was the fastest. I really don't care. But let's say they get 34 points. Well, that's 28 more points. Sorry, they needed 28 points to overtake Mercedes. They got 34, but Mercedes have got 2 cars there that are finishing. So Mercedes are Constructors' champions. Imagine the scenario, and this is hypothetical, but this is a reason why you wouldn't have retired Perez. Had Hamilton had suffered a mechanical failure or a puncture in those remaining 3 laps, because at the time that they retired Perez, there was still lap 56, 57 and 58 to complete, all behind the safety car. Nobody could overtake. The only way that there'd be a change in order is if one of those cars retired. So if Hamilton had to retire, and if he sustains a puncture and can't travel at the right speed, the other cars can proceed past him. Okay, that's the way it goes. If he breaks down, the other cars proceed past him. That is just the way things go. So had Hamilton have retired, that would have promoted Verstappen to first, Perez to second. Bottas would have been promoted from fifth to fourth in that running order. What would that have done to the points? Well, Verstappen, 25 points for the win. Perez, 18 points for second place. That's 43 points. One more for the fastest lap. That's 44 points that Red Bull would have got from Abu Dhabi 2021. They needed 28 to overtake Mercedes. 44 points is 16 more than 28. So therefore they're in the lead by 16 points, meaning Bottas has to get more than 16 points. He's in fourth position, you get 12. What that would have done is it would have meant that Red Bull were Constructors' Champions. The moment they took Perez out of that race, it ruined any chance for them whatsoever of becoming Constructors' Champions. Whatsoever. Because even if Hamilton and Bottas both went out of the race then, all that would have happened is Verstappen would have won with 1 championship point for the fastest lap, meaning Red Bull get 26 points, Mercedes get nothing. Mercedes win the Constructors' Championship by 2 points. All they did by retiring Perez was ensure that they could not win the championship. What they've also done is it's handed Ferrari a podium. It's handed them a third place. Now, when I've gone through my other videos, before I started doing these driver audios, I've spoken about this notion of the sport, the presentation of the sport, the commentators, the visuals, what we are being bombarded with. Because primarily when we're watching a Grand Prix, it's all about what we're seeing. Okay, for most people that we're able to see, we're not just restricted to listening to it. Most people are able to see it, and we are being bombarded with flashing images. The images that we are presented with, they are of the cars, then it cuts to another section of the track, it's something else, then it's to the pits, then it's a replay of something. It's constantly, it's cutting from this to that, to this, to that, and it's constantly changing. It's not like a game of football, for example, whereby you can see the play pretty much all the time. You can see the area of the pitch or a good section of the pitch where you can see exactly what is going on in that sport. Formula One, you're seeing a bit here, a bit there, a bit here, a bit that happened earlier. You're now hearing something where somebody said something earlier. Now you're seeing this, now you're seeing that. This is what they're doing. They're choosing to do that. Okay? They also disorientate us. The way that they can do that is by what they show us and what we hear, what the commentators are saying. So listen to this. I'm going to play this through and you'll see Perez drop down the order. But just listen to this.
3 laps to go. Nicholas Latifi is seemingly okay.
So firstly, 3 laps to go. What's going to happen now, everybody? 3 laps to go. Are we going to get any racing laps? But thankfully, the guy that crashed, he's okay. We're all okay that he's okay, aren't we? We're all pleased that the guy that's crashed is okay. Yep, which is fine. You're going to see where it's got Perez's thing. You're going to see that go pit. The word pit is going to come up on him. And as the cars on track will start passing the pits, he'll start dropping down the order. Okay? So, 3 laps to go. Thankfully, Nicholas Latifi's okay. What now, Crofty and Brundle?
After that contact with the barriers, around about 90 miles an hour.
90 mile an hour crash.
But he would have taken a whack, and it's good to see that he's okay. Sergio.
It's good to see that he's okay.
Perez coming into the pits again.
What's going on now? What's going on now?
So Max.
Is that Max? Brundle? Is that Max? Everybody, is that Max? Disorientate you. Get them thinking, is it this? Is it that? Is that Max, Brundle?
I think they're retiring the car here. Perez.
Why would they do that, Crofty? He's just boxed for fresh tyres 2 laps before. He's running 3rd in this race.
Into the pits for the 4th time. I didn't understand why, but I think they are retiring the car.
I don't understand why. It's confusion. There's confusion.
Car in, yes, they're not going to be working.
And what we're getting on the global feed, okay, is
On it, and that is the end of Sergio Perez's Abu Dhabi.
Checo.
Is they show us the pit lane. They're not showing us what's happening on track. They're not showing us what is going on at turn 14 in terms of the clear-up operation. They're showing us that firstly they peeled away, so they showed us Perez's car trundling down the pit lane, and then they cut to this camera. Well, firstly the camera at the front of the car, and then they cut to this camera where it shows you Checo's car, and then they pan round to the Mercedes garage. This is what they're doing. They're showing you that. They're not showing you what's going on.
Perez is Abu.
They're not showing you the clear-up operation. Instead, let's just see him drop down the order. This is, I'm not doing the best job of this, but we'll get there. Here we go.
Dhabi Grand Prix.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
And F1 TV, interject that message, because that was played about 5 to 10 seconds before. And now we'll confirm to the world this was the message that Perez was given. This creates the narrative. This weaves the story.
Really? Yeah, box.
Really? Yeah, Checo. You clearly didn't think there was a problem, did you? You're the man that's driving it, and you can usually tell if there's a problem with your car, and you report to your pit, I'm feeling a problem. This time you said, really?
And lapped cars will not be allowed to...
Smooth. Checo, we need to retire... Is that Max? Is that Max? Has Max gone to the pits? Checo, we need to retire... Really?
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
And for the...
Really? Yeah.
On it, and that is the end of Sergio in the car here. Perez into the pits for the 4th time. I didn't understand why, but I think they are retiring the car, and yes, they're not going to be working on it, and that is the end of Sergio Perez's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Sergio Perez, after that contact with the barriers, around about 90 miles an hour, but he would have taken a whack, and it's good to see that he's okay. Sergio Perez coming into the pits again. So Max.
Is that Max? Is that Max? Just throw that in there, Martin. Just so everybody, both the Max fans are like, is that Max? Is that our hero that's... Oh, no, it's not. That's what... Phew. It's not Max. And so the Lewis fans are like, oh, is that Max? Has Lewis won? Oh, it's not. Oh, the emotional roller coaster for everybody. Because Brundle threw in there, is that Max? No, you saw on track that it's not Max, Brundle. You saw on the timing screens that it's not Max. You can see on data view that the car that's coming to the pits is Perez.
I think they're retiring the car here. Perez into the pits for the 4th time. I didn't understand why, but I think they are retiring the car, and yes, they're not going to be working on it, and that is the end of Sergio Perez's...
I think they're retiring the car. That's nicely said, Crofty. What's gone wrong there?
Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
Right, Brundle says something there, and I don't know what he says. So if you can identify what this is, please comment in the comments section. Play it one more time.
They're not going to be working on it, and that is the end of Sergio Perez's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
And for the...
Really? Yeah, box.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. So you've just been disorientated. Okay? You've just had this bit of drama unfold. Okay? Perez, who's played a key part in this race, okay, took 8-10 seconds out of Hamilton's race time. Now he's retired. Was that Max retiring? Oh, no, it wasn't Max. Oh, but lapped cars will now not be allowed to overtake. Well, oh, what's going on now? It's confusing. It's disorientating. It's cutting from this to that. Nobody seems to know what's going on. It's all so crazy, isn't it, everybody? Crazy.
Not mandatory in the regulations.
It's not. Oh, but Brundle restores some calmness to it. It's not mandatory in the regular... Oh, the professor. Oh, Martin's explaining it. Yeah, it is, Martin. It absolutely is. Safety car regulations. If the clerk of the course considers it safe to do so. And the message, lapped cars may now overtake, has been sent to all competitors via the messaging system. Then the cars that have been lapped are required to pass the leader in the safety car, and the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. That doesn't say optional, Martin. That's a requirement. Okay, that is a requirement. When you deploy the safety car in order to go racing again, you have to carry out those regulations. And if lapped cars are in situ, 48.12 was the applicable one that needed to be carried out prior to any resumption of racing. But Brundle, again, the disorientation.
You need to retire the car. Box.
And for the
Really? Yeah, box.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
It's not mandatory in the regulations, which leaves...
Smooth. Look at what they're doing. Weaving the tapestry. Weaving the lie. Okay, this is scripted. This is absolutely, it's rehearsed and it's scripted.
Verstappen with a lot of work to do there.
And it leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do there. So straight away it's introducing this notion that, oh, now Max has got to fight his way through those 5 cars. It leaves him with a lot of work to do. Well, it got a lot of work to do before Nicholas Latifi crashed. You know, he was 12 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. It got 3 cars in between Hamilton. 3 cars that Hamilton had lapped and Max hadn't. And the reason Max hadn't is because Max wasn't quick enough to have even reached them yet. And by the time that Max would have managed to have lapped them, Lewis might well have caught Gasly. And then he might well have caught Tsunoda. So Max would have also had to... Well, they'd have waved the Max there from the A team. They'd have waved him through anyway. You know, maybe Horner would have been on the blower to the AlphaTauri team going, we need you to do what Checo did. Don't obey the blue flags when Hamilton comes up behind you. We need you to hold him up for 10 seconds to give Max a chance. Anyway, understand that this is what's going on, right? Perez's retirement is suspicious for many reasons. Red Bull have thrown away the chance of winning the Constructors' Championship. And from what I've read, again, I can't trust the accuracy of it because I just do not believe what you read in the media. I've proven that it's lies. Everything that Andrew Benson from the BBC comes out with relating to Abu Dhabi 2021 is a lie. It's fraudulent, as is the case with all mainstream media. Well, every form of media, not a single form of media has presented what I am presenting about it. It's fraudulent. They're all frauds. That's the truth of it. But as far as I was aware, Mercedes supposedly got $177 million. Red Bull got $100 million. That's a difference of $77 million. Now, I think some of Mercedes' prize money was linked to like a multiplier effect of consecutive championships. So I'm not saying that Red Bull would have won 177 million and Mercedes have dropped down to 100 million. However, there's still likely to be somewhere in the region of I don't know, 20 odd million at least dollars in prize money that Red Bull have thrown away any chance of actually winning. Now, had Hamilton have retired and Red Bull, having left Perez in the race, would have then won the Constructors' Championship, you answer to your shareholders the fact that you've lost £20 million for pitting Perez for no apparent reason. So it guaranteed the Constructors' Championship to Mercedes. It created some confusion. It created a diversion. It promoted Sainz up to 3rd position. Now, when we go and have a look at tracker view, and let's do that now. Let's go tracker view.
Of work to do there.
it leaves Verstappen a lot of work to do then. Well, no, it doesn't, because that's not the way it works, Brundle. You should know that. Let's go to here. Tracker view. So, Verstappen, followed by Ricciardo, followed by Stroll, followed by Perez, the blue dot here, followed by Sainz, followed by Bottas. So before we go racing again, the track has to be declared safe. The 8 lapped cars have to be released. Mick Schumacher, the white dot that's behind Bottas, is the last of the 8. In front of Perez is Stroll and Ricciardo. And then you've got the 5 that are in between Hamilton and Verstappen. So by retiring Perez, if they just released the 5 cars in the same way that they did to create that 1 lap shootout between the top 2, does it make it obvious that that essentially you're like, well, you've left 3rd place there, you've left Max's teammate behind these 2 lap cars, he can't even challenge? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people think, because nobody was identifying this in the immediate aftermath. I was looking at social media afterwards, and that's why it inspired me to write a social media post, because I never used to do that. I wasn't interested in sharing my perspective on social media because I just didn't really care that much. So I actually was inspired to say you just cannot separate out 2 competitors in a multi-competitor event and set them off to race off for the win. That would not be acceptable in any other Grand Prix of the season, and it's not acceptable in this one. That statement alone would have won Mercedes any court battle. That very statement alone would have won. You cannot just separate out 2 competitors in a multi-competitor event and set them off for the race win. And that is what they did. The regulations are there to ensure that that doesn't happen. So therefore, that is a corruption of those regulations. Would Ferrari have contested it? Would Ferrari have lodged an appeal? Was the fact that Ferrari were handed a 3rd place, did that deter them from appealing? Because ultimately Ferrari were in 4th and they got handed a 3rd because of Perez's retirement. They were aware that ultimately the focus on this race was the 2 title contenders. You heard Sainz say, "This is not my race, but I will have to race them. And I've got back markers in the way." So he was aware he probably didn't want to interfere in the title battle. Imagine Sainz going for a lunge on Verstappen to try and take 2nd position in that race, and there being a crash. Well, there's a good chance that some of the strap-on fanboys, there's a good chance that maybe Sainz would have been the one that was receiving death threats at that point in time, had that have happened. So it's highly likely that Sainz would have stayed out of that battle anyway. So actually, 3rd place for Ferrari, they'd have probably been okay with that and let them to it. The truth is, Ferrari were complicit in the fact that they weren't able to compete for 1st and 2nd, and they didn't protest that fact. They should have done. They were denied the opportunity from properly contesting it because 2 lapped cars were left there. But removing Perez out of the way handed that 3rd position to Ferrari, and was that something else that was a sweetener for Ferrari? So Ferrari were like, okay, wasn't our rate anyway, but we got a 3rd. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Who knows? Who knows what deals are done? All of these conversations could take place. None of them could take place. But the reality is, some did. Some did. These are all dynamics that are possible, and they're possible because this happened. Okay, what you're seeing now is what happened. It was wrong, and therefore we have to dissect it to determine what was wrong, and we have to come up with all the different eventualities. Now, ultimately, it doesn't matter, in as much that the simple fact is the rules of the sport were broken. It should have been a safety car finish, and with that, Sir Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion. So despite what anybody will come to the channel with the comment section and try and argue otherwise, they are facts. The facts are the rules were broken and it changed the outcome of that event. That is not okay. The governing body has produced a report where it does not identify what truly was the problem. It didn't rectify what it needed to rectify, because there is an appeals process whereby something like that can and should be rectified. They didn't do it. They didn't subsequently do it. The media has lied to everybody and never exposed the truth of the matter. It took till mid-January before Brundle tentatively goes, well, for me, the key regulation that wasn't carried out is the safety car should have returned to the pits at the end of the following lap. But we all know that there's meetings and sub-meetings. So that's not explaining clearly to the public that that was totally wrong. That should have categorically been a safety car finish, and Sir Lewis Hamilton would be an 8-time world champion, and they have to rectify that. They didn't do that. No team has called it out. Mercedes didn't call it out properly. They didn't actually challenge it in the way to ensure that they got that outcome. And everybody just shuts up about it now. That's not okay. So anybody can come to the comment section with whatever you like. And that's just fucking hot air. It's all bollocks. Anybody wants to come to the comment section trying to contest it, jog on. Okay? Because that's the facts of the matter. That should have been a safety car finish. And the reason that they did not change it, number one, the governing body changed the rules of the sport. They contrived that outcome. The teams involved in that event were complicit. They went along with those rules being broken. And they did not call out the fact that those rules were being broken. The commentators of the sport were lying about what was possible before those rules were broken, so that when they were broken, it was, oh, well, you don't have to release for lap cars, it's not mandatory, but that leaves Max with a lot to do. Oh, but now they're getting them out the way, so Max doesn't have a lot to do. Oh, well, now the safety car's ending. Wow! They narrated it. They wove the tapestry to enable it to be bedded in. That's media corruption. That's fraud. I don't care what anybody says about it. That's exactly what it is. So anybody that wants to come to the comments section trying to pick fault with what I'm trying to say, yeah, you can pick fault with some of the things that I might not get right. I don't care. The facts are, it was a fraud. And there's enough presented here in evidence to demonstrate it was a fraud. And that's all there needs to be. And the perpetrators, the frauds, will be facing a consequence. And eventually, them rats that did this, they will be exposed. Because there will be people within the industry who will not want to lose their positions. There'll be people that were under pressure, that when it comes to it, when it comes down to their futures on the lines because of this, they're going to start squealing. And then perpetrators are going to be exposed. That is what is going to happen. Anyway, we're going to go through the audio now. So, as you can see on tracker view, Perez, blue dot, just rounded turn 1. And you've got this is what it looks like from his car. I'm going to hit play here because I zoom back in and just show you it's going to be queued up at 1:28:20, and then we hit play on it and you'll hear it now. So, Latifi's crash, there's still no safety car declared yet. Remember, when I went through Sainz's analysis, the safety car wasn't declared until Sainz was about, at this point, down the start-finish straight, middle of where the grandstand area is. Perez is going to be down between turn 5 and turn 6. So have a listen. Remember, the audio is lagged. So you can hear the engine note. The engine note appears to be live, but the communication between Perez and his race engineer, there's about a 4-second lag on that. Oops.
Engine 6, position 3. Engine 6, position 3, -1.
Okay, you heard that change of engine note from Perez because that's where he started to slow down. He's come off the throttle. It must have come up on his steering wheel. Safety car. Yellow notification, safety car. Look at where Sainz is. Safety car. That's how long it took for race control to deploy the safety car, to actually say to all the drivers, safety car. And that safety car will be starting to come out on track and will get itself on track between Bottas and Tsunoda.
Okay, safety car. Safety car, delta positive. Get your delta positive. Get a positive. And V-charge on. V-charge on. Cancel your handbrake. Cancel handbrake.
Cancel your handbrake? What were you doing putting your handbrake on there, Perez?
Once again,
Latifi has pitted. Latifi has crashed in turn 14.
Latifi has pitted. Latifi has crashed in turn 14. Now, interpret that. Who knows? It could be that he was thinking of Max. Max has pitted. Okay, it could be, you know, who knows? Who knows? But Latifi has pitted. You know, does he need to give the information as to who has crashed? Like I say, often when you have a Grand Prix, the race engineer doesn't necessarily give out the information as to who has caused the incident. Be a car off at turn, blah, 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 or, you know, whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily have to, they don't have to identify the driver, but several of the race engineers have definitely called out that it's Latifi. What did you know, I wonder?
Box, Checo, Latifi on the exit here. Box, Checo, box.
Okay, look at the amount of notification they give him for him to pit onto fresh softs. And remember, there's a 4-second lag. Okay, so listen to when they first tell him to box.
Box, Checo, Latifi on the exit here.
Okay. Box, Checo, Latifi on exit here. So they know that Perez is coming around turn 14. Yeah? The safety car was declared when he was here, coming between turn 5 and turn 6. When he gets to about turn 13, they say, box, Checo, Latifi on exit here. So they know he's coming around there. So this is his first time past the pits, and they pit him for fresh softs. They're telling him to box just before he comes to turn 14.
Box, Checo, box. Start 12 in the pit lane. Start 12. Strat 8. Strat 8.
So he's back out on track, well ahead of Sainz. He was about 30 seconds ahead of Sainz at the point in time Latifi crashed. So it was always not an issue for him to be able to pit and get back out without losing track position. Back out there in third place.
Okay, we can go to B-Bell 7. B-Bell.
So that you're hearing there does sound a bit dodgy, doesn't it? You've got to say, if we play this through. Okay, it sounds a little bit uneven. Whether that's on the engine, whether it's because the car's going over curbing that's rough, I don't know. So you've got to say, we've got to try and identify if there's a problem with Perez's car, because I've listened to the engine note on it, and I listened to it for several laps prior to the Latifi crash. And to be honest, I don't feel that there's anything significant where you can audibly hear anything different in that engine note. You'd expect the reported reason that I have read, and again, you can't believe anything that you read in the media, but the reported reason for Perez retiring was it was a loss of both oil and water pressure simultaneously. Okay, so believe that if you will. But if you're going to lose oil pressure and water pressure, then I would suggest that you're going to get a different engine note. That engine is going to sound significantly different. And it doesn't. And it's going to lose power very, very quickly. And it doesn't appear to, because Perez doesn't sense or detect a problem whatsoever.
Okay, we can go to B-Bell 7. B-Bell 7 for now. Just keep the brake temp in there. Safety car is in turn 10.
So he's braking a bit down the straight. That would be tyre temps, but it's also this idea of, like, you know, get the car kind of speed up, slow down. You can that will get your brakes warm and also keep your tyres in the correct operating window. That's another way of doing it rather than just weaving. If you've got the time to do this before you catch the car in front, and you're not at this stage having to be within those 10 car lengths. Once you're within 10 car lengths, you then have to rely on weaving, okay? Or you can hold back a bit, but then you have to accelerate up. But whilst you've got this distance between you and the car in front, you can do this kind of stop-start effect, which is going to be a more effective way of maintaining temperature in the brakes and tyres.
Just keep it at +1 for now. Okay, Checo, we'll start to line up the switches. So mode 3, mode 3.
So he's caught the back of the pack now. Okay, up until the turn 6, turn 7 on lap 55, he'd been able to lap at the kind of under the delta at that speed until he caught the back of the snake. Now he has, so he's restricted to the speed set by the car that's in front of him and can drop no more than 10 car lengths behind. Line up your switches. Okay, so what are we talking about? Lining up your switches. Is this about making sure you're in the right engine mode, you've got the right brake balance, you've got recharge on, and are we doing making sure we're going through all the drills to make sure that we've got all the settings right on that car, you know, in preparation for any form of restart, okay, which can't happen yet, but I'm guessing that that's what line up your switches is referring to.
Okay, Checo, we'll start to line up the switches. So mode 3, mode 3. So keep the tyres in the temp in these tyres. Doing a good job.
Keep the temp in the tyres, you're doing a good job. You know, so everything that's coming from the race engineer appears to be gearing up to prepare Perez and keep him in the best possible condition for any potential restart.
How many laps left?
Okay, this lap and 3 more.
Did Hamilton beat it?
Negative. Hamilton hasn't pitted. Max has.
Okay, so where Perez is now, it would have been approximately there when he received the message to pit the first time. On his first time that he passed Latifi's car, he was told to box, stay left because Latifi's on the outside as you're coming around that corner there. So to box him the first lap round was at this position here, approximately, maybe just on turn 13 itself. The crane is removing Latifi's car off at turn 13 right now. Not 13, at 14 right now.
Checo, we need to retire.
So when 4 seconds back, Perez was here on entry to turn 15. Okay, 4 seconds previous, he was on entry to turn 15. You literally go around this curve and you're up here and there's a pit entrance. That's how close he was to the pits when he got that notification. Remember, 4 seconds. Let's count this through. 4 seconds from, well, we'll start just before turn 15. Count 4 seconds and then you'll hear the audio. I'm saying I'm probably a second too slow. So let's say he's just about getting it now, and let's just count. 1,
Checo,
2.
we need to retire the car.
No, I was wrong then. Let's go back and do that again. Okay, let's count 4 seconds. See if we can get 4 seconds in from here. 1, 2, 3.
Checo,
4.
we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
Really?
Yeah, box.
Mode 12 in the pit lane. Make sure you got your pit lane limiter on there, Checo, because that's what he always says when he goes into the pits, isn't he?
Okay, into the boys. Switch off.
Wasn't the same message, was it? So let's say it's about here, on the approach to turn 15, where he got that message. Quite an emergency pit stop, isn't it? Let's play that bit again.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
Really?
Yeah, box. Okay, into the boys. Switch off. Leave MP1. So mate, you should have been.
Sorry, mate, you should have been. And then the audio cuts out. So we'll never know what he was commiserating Perez about there. Didn't appear to be a significant change in engine tone. It's difficult to actually identify it because he's lapping at slow speed now as part of that safety car snake, so you're not hearing it free rev. But it's a very immediate retirement. There are places around this track where you can pull off safely and get out of the way so it won't cause a safety car. But no, they pitted him. You get the excuse, oh, we detected a problem and didn't want to prolong the safety car period. That's the excuse that's given. What it did give is a diversion. Is that Max retiring the car? We need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box. What's going on here? Is that Max? Has Lewis won? I don't know. And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. They're on lap 56 now. This is the lap that they need to overtake on. This is the lap that they need to overtake on. And let's just round this out with going through lap 56 on tracker view. Before I do tracker view, I'll just show you the image view and see what they showed us. And it's not going to be the complete version. They were showing us a replay of Latifi crashing and the front brake catching fire and the fire extinguisher then having to be sprayed over that car. And then they cut to this, 3 laps to go. So this is the beginning of lap 56. Safety car, snake. Hamilton here behind it. And then you've got all these cars here, the 2 Alpines. And then you've got Norris, and then the 2 Alpines, then the Ferrari, then Vettel and Leclerc's right at the back there. And then, oh, we've got the Perez situation. I've missed out a bit. I'm not going to play this through because I'll block it on copyright. But they show Perez trundling down the pit lane. And there they've got the aerial view. They've got various different camera angles of this. Then again, still on Perez. This is 10 seconds forward each time. This is all the time that's being taken out of what we're saying. Oh, and we've panned round to the Mercedes garage, where Mercedes are looking glum that they've not been able to pit Hamilton. All part of the narrative. And race control. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. That's not a message. The safety car regulations, okay, say that if it's not safe, then the message overtaking will not be permitted. Will be sent to all the competitors. That means to every car, overtaking will not be permitted. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake doesn't mean anything. Because lapped cars aren't overtaking. Lapped cars get released and then get given the opportunity to catch the back of the pack. That's different. 10 seconds on from that. Oops, pressed the wrong button, didn't I? I want to press the fast forward button, which is the wrong one. Can't see the contrast. Oh, we get to the end of that straight. 10 seconds on from that. Oh, we get them going down towards turn, well, it's about turn 8, I'm guessing. Here it is, on the way down to turn 9. Hamilton's in car view. Still with Hamilton. Verstappen, team radio. Cancel that. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Typical decision. I'm not surprised. It's classic. You know that one? That one that took place down that straight. That they decide that they've got to play the world that to again make it seem like Max here. Poor Max is being so hard done by. F1 TV, creators of the tapestry. Max's in-car radio. This is what they play it, overlay it whilst Max is driving to make you feel that Max is saying it there and then. Max said this about 30 seconds earlier. They took out all the time gaps. They edited a 20-second audio down to about 10 seconds. Oh, we cut to the Red Bull garage. Oh, the jeopardy. We get Kelly Piquet praying to the racing gods with her hands clasped. And then we cut back to the track. And what do we see? Oh, we see the marshals. There they are, look. There they are. Let's just zoom this bad boy. There they are. There's the marshals. Hasn't jumped over the track yet. Let's have a look at him jumping over the track. There he is. Jumps over the track, over the barrier. Still got his broom there. Still got his broom there on the track. So needs to get rid of that. And the clerk of the course will need to make sure that's all right. The 10 seconds on from there, and we got Hamilton crossing the start-finish line. About to cross the start-finish line to start lap 57. Now he's into turn 1. So that's what they show us. That's how they disorientate us. That's why they show us the cars starting lap 56. Then they cut to Perez for about 20 or 30 seconds. And then we get them coming down from turn 5 to turn 6, and lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Oh, and that's a lot of work for Max to do. They'll all get blue flags, of course. It's not mandatory in the regulations. And then we cut to Hamilton. And then we get to, oh, what does Verstappen think in the comment section? Typical decision. I'm not surprised. And then we cut to the Red Bull pit. And then we cut to the track. Oh, shit. We showed the world what was actually going on. We showed the world, probably by mistake. Then guys in the orange overalls jumping over the barriers there. It wasn't safe. That's the real reason. That's the real reason that you can't release the lapped cars. And then we go on to lap 57. Lapped cars haven't been released. Safety car finish. Simple as that. The rest is a fraud. Let's have a listen to what Brundle and Crofty said. So, Hamilton just about to begin lap 56. That crucial lap where the lapped cars have to be released on. Okay.
Catch the pack up, which they don't have to do.
No.
Then, and if so, how long will they wait for those lap runners through? I don't think it's absolutely mandatory. Of course, to say that it has to be.
Okay. I've rewound it to here because Brundle starts with his bullshit, okay? They're showing the replay of the Latifi crash. And remember, when I showed you what they were showing us, it showed you Latifi's, the replay of the Latifi crash. So let's just listen to the audio as we're approaching the end of lap 55.
Needs more pace, more heat into those tyres.
This is awful for Lewis then with those hard compound, heavily used tyres. So.
Tyre narrative, how awful it is for Lewis.
There's the shunt then.
There's the replay that they're showing us. So it's going to, we get to see replay.
That calls to say that it has to be a safety car there. And, but will they...
Now we get the lies about the rules.
Will they let the lap runners through?
We're about to go on to lap 56, which is the lap that it has to be completed on. And he's asking, will it happen? And it has to be done on lap 56.
I don't think it's absolutely mandatory.
It absolutely is, Martin.
But that's normally on a wet day that they...
It's normally on a wet day in Belgium. Yeah, if we've just hung the washing out and it's really unfortunate.
Don't. And if...
But they don't normally do that on a wet day in Belgium. Give me an example, please, Martin. Can you evidence that statement? I'm waiting. I'm still waiting.
So how long will they wait?
How long will they wait
for those lap cars to get out of the way? If they wait
for those lapped cars to get out of the way. What's the regulation say, Martin? Say when it's safe to do so, which it's not because the crane has just removed it at turn 14. It's not been declared safe. The message needs to be sent to all competitors, and the cars that have been lapped, the 8 cars that are eligible to unlap, need to pass the leader, and the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So if it's done on lap 56, if they are released on lap 56, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of lap 57. That's at a minimum. The race director does have at his discretion the option of keeping that safety car on track for a further lap to ensure that those released cars fully catch the back of the pack. Massey demonstrated that he knows that and did that on 4 occasions.
Absolutely mandatory, but that's normally on a wet day that they don't. And if so, how long will they wait for those lap cars to get out of the way? If they wait,
it's nothing to do with getting. It's not about getting Norris out of the way, Martin. Okay, it's not about him getting out of the way, because all you're doing is getting him out of the way of Max. It's not about that. It's about giving Norris the chance of getting around here so that Norris can race Gasly when the race is restarted, because Gasly was the car that Norris was racing before the race was neutralised. And so Norris has to be able to race Gasly when the race gets going again. So it's not a case of, oh, how long will they wait just to part the Red Seas for Verstappen, just to gift it to Max? No, it's about giving Norris the chance of racing the car that he was previously racing before Latifi binned it into the wall.
Wait for them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do.
Nope. Nope. In jumps Crofty. No, absolutely right, Martin. Nope. No, the regulation is, Martin, safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So here's an example for you, Martin, right? If they are going in between turn 5 and 6 and the message is given to those cars to unlap, then those released cars will be then driving faster than the safety car snake, and they will go around here. Okay, and then they've got a whole full lap beyond that, so they'll have about a lap and a half with which to try to catch at the back of the pack, and often that is enough. That is why the regulation is written the way it is. If that order isn't given until about turn 9, and they all get past the leader and the safety car prior to the commencement of the next lap, then they've only got just over a lap, and that might not be enough. But that's the way it works. That's the way it works. But Crofty, nope.
And if so, how long will they wait for those lap cars to get out of the way? If they wait for them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do, then I don't think we'll get a racing lap.
I don't think we'll get a racing lap. What are you talking about, Brundle? I don't think, if they do this, then I don't think they'll get it. Right, we're just entering lap 56. Okay, as long as you release them cars this lap, and let's say that they all overtake the leader before turn 6, which if the clear-up operation is able to be proceeded in a quick enough time, then that's possible, right? Then, yeah, they'll get round there, and then the safety car stays out for lap 57. There will be a racing lap. The key is the track going to be safe this lap, now that Hamilton's on lap 56, for the order to be given to those lapped cars? Let's have a listen.
Let them through, we could get...
If they let them through, we could get... So it's not about letting them through. You're ignoring the notion of the mandatory safety car lap, aren't you, Brundle?
To get out of the way. If they wait for them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do, then I don't think we'll get a racing lap. If they let them through, we could get one racing lap.
If they let them through, we could get one racing lap. Absolutely right, Martin. Okay, but you're not stating the regulations, are you, as they need to be stated? You're saying a rough presentation of, oh, this needs to happen if they let them through, but pretending that it's about getting them out of the way, right? You're pretending it's about getting them out of the way. And, oh, if you let them through, it's not just about letting them through. It's restoring sporting fairness to all competitors, Martin. It's releasing all of them eight cars so that them 8 cars can be in the correct race order on the back of this safety car snake. So all of the previously built up advantages between all competitors are neutralised because racing was neutralised.
3 laps to go. Nicholas Latifi is seemingly okay after that contact with the barriers, around about 90.
Phew, Latifi is seemingly okay. That's great news.
Miles.
Oh, by the way, PEREZ has been pitted now. Okay, so we've got the replay. We've got 3 laps to go. We see them coming over the start finish line with 3 laps to go, and then we cut away to PEREZ entering the pit lane.
An hour, but he would have taken a whack, and it's good to see that he's okay. Sergio Perez coming into the pits again.
So Max,
I think they're retiring the car here. Perez into the pits for the 4th time. I didn't understand why, but I think they are retiring the car, and yes, they're not going to be working on it, and that is the end of Sergio Perez's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
And for the
really? Yeah, box.
And lapped cars.
And lapped cars, seamless.
Will not be allowed to overtake.
It's not mandatory.
Yes, it is, you liar.
And the regulations, which leaves...
Yes, it is, you liar. The only thing where it says is if it's safe to do so, Martin. Okay, when it's safe to do so, you give this message out. If it's not safe to do so, what do, Martin? You go racing, do you? No, that's not how it works. If it's not safe to do this, Martin, then it's not safe. And if things aren't safe, what do? You keep lapping behind the safety car until things are safe. That's why you put the safety car out there, because it's unsafe. So if it's still unsafe, you keep lapping behind the safety car. Once it's safe, then you give the message to the lapped cars to carry out this procedure, this regulation. This procedure, this regulation needs to be carried out before you go racing, Martin. But you tell us it's not mandatory. Who told you to tell us that it's not mandatory, Martin?
Retire the car. Box.
And for the
really? Yeah, box.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
It's not mandatory in the regulations, which leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do then.
Oh, it leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do then. Right, you've got half a second between each car on any restart, okay? It's illegal. You cannot restart with lapped cars in situ. But let's just play this bullshit scenario through. If these are racing one another, if they are in the correct race order, when you get to a restart, there's still going to be half a second in between each car. The leader will bolt. The leader might bolt at turn 13, 14, 15, 16. At any point, the leader might go, right, I'm going. And by the time that these cars cross the start-finish line, which is the earliest time they can even begin to start overtaking, because they have to be behind each other when they cross that start-finish line, the gaps are likely to be more than half a second, because like a concertina effect, the field begins to spread. Then half a second gaps, when the leader starts accelerating and the next car accelerates and the next car, it's a reaction time. It increases from half a second and goes out to about a second. With the car that's then the 7th car in that, so Hamilton 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars back. You've got half a second, a second and a half, 2, 2.5, 3 seconds minimum is the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen when they cross the start-finish line. Verstappen is a minimum of 3 seconds back. Right, he has to lap those cars in front that would get these blue flags, right? But that doesn't mean that he can do that immediately. He's not going to make his way past all 6 or 5 of them just coming down the start-finish straight, which means he'll have to tuck him behind them there and likely through there. And it's likely then that the next overtaking point would be between turn 4 and 5. And then Hamilton's still 3 seconds up the road. He's not got any drag. He's not got like a bit to slipstream him down here. Hamilton comes through here, and he's not going to slipstream him down here. And from turn 9 onwards, there is no overtaking. Karun Chandok will tell you that he thinks, with his valuable insight, it would have been an incredible last lap like that. But Verstappen would have caught them 3 seconds and still had the chance of catching Hamilton. Because we see that all the time, that a driver closes a 3-second gap on one lap and then makes the overtake. Thanks for the valuable insight, Karen.
So Mercedes will be Constructors' champions at the end of this race, as it stands at
the moment.
Assuming that Hamilton and Bottas finish this race.
No, they are. Mercedes has a 28-point lead. Red Bull can only get 26 points now. Mercedes are guaranteed to be Constructors' champions. Disorientate. Oh, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Cut to this, cut to that. Oh, now we're talking about Constructors' champions. Are they going to be? Are they not? Oh, that's what Red Bull retirement has caused.
The Drivers' Championship, though, is very much up for grabs.
Why do you think that, Crofty? Before we go racing, before we have any chance of there being any kind of racing, then these lapped cars need to be released. And then the safety car stays on track for a further lap. And that's the only way we'll get a racing lap 58. So this is the key lap, lap 56. Are those lapped cars... Well, here's a key. Is the track going to be cleared in time so that them cars can be released this lap? Well, you know the answer to that. We've just seen on them clips where the marshals were jumping over the barriers as we go around turn 14. But we're not there yet. We don't know that at this stage. We don't know if it's possible at this stage because we don't know how quickly those marshals are clearing the track. But Crofty is telling us it's still up for grabs.
The lapped cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means that...
Which means it's not safe to carry out this procedure.
There are plenty of cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen for Verstappen to fight his way through. Norris, Alonso, and also Ocon and Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel.
None of which are for position, of course.
No.
They're obliged.
Well, yes, they are all for positions, Martin. Norris here is, well, once PEREZ, once they go past the pit garage, they'll have, that'll drop PEREZ further down the order, you see. But actually, reality is with PEREZ now out, means Norris is 7th, Alonso is 8th, Ocon is 9th, Leclerc is 10th. They're all for position. Vettel is for 11th. You know, they're all trying to fight each other for those positions. And Norris needs to be able to fight Gasly 6th here for that position as well. It's not about none of them are for position, Martin.
To get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control...
I suppose that's the compromise. Why do you think race control are making a compromise at this stage, Crofty? Why do you think race control are making a compromise? We are on lap 56 and you think race control are making a compromise. Why would you think that? Because if the order is given now, if the track is declared safe now, then can you get these cars past? You probably just about might. You just about might get these 5 cars past there, followed by Ricciardo and Stroll, and then Mick Schumacher. If you release him now, as you're going up these straights and go around these bends, by the time you get around to about here, and maybe about turn 15, 16, Schumacher might make it past the leader in the safety car then. And then as they come onto the start, finish straight, the lapped cars will have all been released. And then the safety car stays on track for that lap and peels into the pits at the end of that one. That's the only way you get a racing lap. That's the only way. But Crofty's telling us about a compromise that he supposes. Where have you dreamt this compromise up, Crofty? Have you got a crystal ball? How did you know that there was a compromise, Crofty?
Have made here by giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish line.
For who? Are you giving Lando Norris the best chance of racing Gasly to the finish? Are you giving Carlos Sainz the best chance of racing Max Verstappen to the finish?
Rather than finishing behind the safety car, they've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
You're not allowed to do that. You've just wrecked Lando Norris's race. You're not allowed to do that. That's what the regulations are there for. I suppose that's the compromise. Is that what you suppose, is it, Crofty? Let's listen to Crofty again, his valuable insight.
By giving the best possible chance,
they're obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control have made here. But
oh, this is the at least 10-year commentator of the sport, the expert, supposing that there's a compromise. You tell me a commentator of any sport that is able to predict that the referee of the sport is making a compromise.
By giving...
I suppose this is a compromise. No, the referee's there to apply the rules of the sport and adjudicate in accordance with the rules of the sport, not to make compromises of those rules.
Giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than finishing behind the safety car, they've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course.
The narrative. Poor Max. This message took place between 5 and 6. This long straight here, it took place down the length of that straight, and it was twice as long. They've edited out all the gaps.
Good decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
What's not classic is Max's reaction to adversity, because we all know what that is. Lots of beep, beep, beep. You know, it sounds like a vehicle reversing, doesn't it, normally? Because Max likes to swear when things aren't going his way. He was remarkably calm, but we're going to go through the audio in the next video. So next up will be Max Verstappen. Here's audio during those last 5 laps of Abu Dhabi.
Well, I'll try and look at this objectively.
Objective Crofty.
Should get 1 lap of racing here.
Why should we get 1 lap of racing, Crofty? Why should we get 1 lap of racing? You've suggested that I suppose this is the compromise. We should get 1 lap of racing. Well, why should we get 1 lap of racing? We've not even finished lap 56 yet. Marshals are still on track. They haven't jumped over the barriers yet, as we know, because we've seen the footage. Well, we're not seeing it now because we're seeing Kelly PK in the Red Bull garage praying to the racing gods. You know, all the drama. But we should get 1 lap. Why should we get 1 lap of racing, Crofty? If the lap cars can't be released between now and that checkered flag and pass the leader by the checkered flag, it's a safety car finish. Why are you saying we should get 1 lap of racing?
If we allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing.
Absolutely right, Crofty, because you release them now, it's not going to happen, is it? They're not going to make it past the leader before the leader starts lap 57.
Racing to the checkered flag. So what do Red Bull want?
No, it's not about asking. I suppose that's the compromise that the referee has made by giving Man City a penalty. Because if he doesn't give them a penalty, then they lose the game. So what do Man City want? Do they want that penalty or not? Well, that's not about how you assess whether or not to give a penalty, is it, Crofty? You have to meet criteria to give a penalty. The referee can't just make a compromise to manufacture a result and then you present it. Oh, but what do Man City want there? Do they want the penalty or do they not? Using your, using your balance, your... let me talk about this object.
Get 1 lap of racing here.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Well, I'll try and look at this objectively.
You don't even know the meaning of the word, you fat prick.
We should get 1 lap of racing here. If we allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the checkered flag. So what do Red Bull want? And Max Verstappen and Gianpiero Lambiase is racing.
Who gives a flying one? Who gives one? I don't.
Engineer, do they want the chance or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking?
Yeah, that's what the regulations of the sport are. And so everybody, you know, it's telling you what the truth is, but he's lying about it at the same time. He's going, well, that's what needs to happen, but this is what's going to happen. Well, why is a commentator doing that? Why would a commentator that's commentating on live sport tell you, well, the rules are this, but this is what's going to happen? Why would that happen? You tell me a sport where the commentators would say, well, the rules are this, but this is what is going to happen. This is what I think the race director's going to do here. He's diverting your attention to make you think that that's going to happen, but that's breaking the rules, and he's validating that because that's what he's paid to do. He's part of the narrative. He's coming out with the script. He's saying what he's being told to say. They're all frauds.
Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control.
What would make you think that that was the decision? When the regulations are that that track has to be safe before you carry out this procedure, okay? The track has to be safe before you carry out the procedure. The track wasn't safe. We're now on lap 57. You still have to carry out the procedure. You can't go racing. But you're saying you think race control is going to make that decision. Why do you think race control is going to make that decision? What gives you the impression that race control are going to make this a race? What makes you think that, Crofty? Because it shouldn't be. So why are you predicting it's going to be a race? This should be a safety car finish. You've just said it. You've just said it, and we'll go through that again.
One lap of racing here. If we allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the...
Right. You have to release them, and you're saying if we release them, we'd have no laps of racing. It's a safety car finish. Right? So that's the regulations. That's all there is to it. So why are you saying this?
Checkered flag. So what do Red Bull want? And Max Verstappen and...
Oh, let me know what you think in the comment section. Let's incite the fans on social media.
Giampiero Lambiase as race engineer. Do they want the chance, or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking? Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control. And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
And personally, this is the decision that gives Red Bull the best chance if they want it. Oh, personally, I think this is the ref giving Man City that penalty that's illegal because that's not a penalty. I think that's the decision that gives Man City the best chance if they want it. Is that the way you get a football commentator commentating on football? Oh, yeah, I think personally, you know, what do Man City want? Because personally, I think that's the best chance if they want it.
Yeah, I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory.
Brundle with his lies. It's this rule of threes. You say things 3 times, then it must be true then, mustn't it, Brundle? Must be true.
It's pointed out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be 1 racing lap.
Because I think the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, and there will be 1 racing lap. Look at the way this is all woven together.
They'll all get blue flags.
Oh, the blue flags again. Max 3 seconds behind, but they'll get blue flags, so it'll be all right. It'll still be able to race.
Would imagine.
Christian and Michael.
Awa, 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 awa. He fumbles his words here. Christian, you could have done better than this.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need 1 racing lap.
You couldn't make it up, could you? Anyway, that'll do on this one. Max Verstappen's audio next. Uninterrupted Max Verstappen's audio, and I'll follow that up with the analysis of that. And we'll see if Max is his usual irate self when presented with adversity. And then the one after that will be Sir Lewis Hamilton's audio, because that one's not authentic either. So Last two to come in this series, and then we'll get back on with exposing the other lies, the other contrivances, and eventually we'll get to the FIA report into this. That's something you couldn't make up either. Anyway, thanks for your time on this one, and the Verstappen recorded audio will be along very shortly.